Live from WTVO 17 and your home team. Eyewitness News at 6 starts now.
A business celebrates its grand opening after it's been brewing for quite some time. How COVID made the owners pivot from their initial first pour date. Plus,
we have a lot of money to actually give to the pantry, so hopefully we can help as many people as we can.
A local business is raising money for a good cause by competing for the best chili. And as the federal government looks at the best options on how to open up schools, they face another challenge of preventing low-income students from dropping out. Good evening, I'm Alexis Carpello. Thanks for joining us tonight. Rockford fire crews have had a busy start to their weekend. The most recent incident being this roof caving in on a detached garage. This happening on Douglas Street, a few blocks north of Auburn, around 5:15. You can see how a portion of this garage's roof collapsed onto the residents' cars. Heavy snow could be the cause. Another roof collapses, this time on a home. Rockford fire crews tell us heavy snow is to blame. It happened around 3:20 this afternoon on North Main Street. The house had been previously condemned due to a fire. Heavy snow piled up on top of the home, causing a third of the roof to collapse. No one was hurt. Crews had to redirect traffic off of Main Street to turn right on Salem. Also happening overnight, a massive fire was sparked from someone smoking inside a home. It happened on North Church Street around 1:40 this morning. You could see the smoke and flames they were battling. Those flames eventually spread to a neighboring home. It took hours to put out the flames. Both homes are uninhabitable. No one was hurt. Illinois State Police tell us they will be aggressively enforcing the move-over law, also known as Scott's Law. This comes after a handful of ISP troopers have been hit. Troopers say drivers must change lanes when a squad car has their lights on while on the side of the road. We'll have all the details on how to avoid a Scott's Law violation on our website, mystateline.com. In the midst of a pandemic and many closures, there's a new business opening up in the state line. Ari Bruckman joins us now to tell us more about Ogle County Brewing. Ari, you attended the grand opening and spoke with the owners?
Yeah, Alexis, there was a large turnout. As many people know, the pandemic has created multiple hardships for small business owners. But one Ogle County brewery opened today to start a different trend. Ogle County Brewery is the newest addition to the state line. They opened their doors for the first time today.
We're just looking at doing something creative that we think would spark something for the community in turn as well.
First-time brewery owners Brian Wynn and Joshua Skinner say they had plans to open last fall, but the pandemic forced them to wait. With restrictions loosening, they tell me the timing was right.
People can't be locked up forever. I think people are ready to get out. I think the numbers are starting to go down. Things are starting to loosen up a little bit. And so for us, the timing is actually pretty good.
Their passion for brewing beer gives them an edge.
We always start the day with a recipe that we have in mind. By the end of the day, we change the recipe quite a bit. So that's the fun part about it. I mean, we're not restricted at all. We can be creative. We can kind of do what we want with it.
Oregon Mayor Ken Williams tells me the location of the brewery will help the downtown area.
We help fund part of it through our TIF program for the downtown. This is a very key corner of our city, and we look at it as a bright spot that's going to be there as we reopen the whole industry and all of the shops in our city.
Ogle County Brewery wants to share their new brews with the community safely.
Come out, I mean, use common courtesy, common sense, you know, stay as safe as you can, but at the end of the day, we need social interaction, so this is very, very important. Come on out, be safe, enjoy the beer.
For all the beer and coffee lovers out there, they recommend trying their OCB Stout, which tastes like dark chocolate and a hint of coffee. Alexis?
All right, thanks, Ari. Health officials report nearly 2,000 additional cases of COVID-19, including 42 more deaths. That includes one death from the state line. That individual was a male in his 60s from Ogle County. The weekly statewide test positivity rate sits just above 3%. Region 1's positivity rate is now down to 3.5%. Nearly all counties saw a drop in their rates. Ogle County did increase to almost 3%. Lee and Whiteside counties stayed the same since since yesterday. Boone County has the highest rate at 6%. Lee County is the lowest, under 1%. A local health department is helping put food on the table, but for your furry family members. The Winnebago County Health Department and the Salvation Army are hosting a pet food drive next Saturday. It's for those in need to help feed their pets. The drive will be in the parking lot of the former Circuit City. Cars can start lining up at 8. Nothing beats a warm bowl of chili on these cold winter days. That's in part why a local business hosted a cook-off to see who makes the best batch. Kiko Hartley-Davidson had their annual chili cook-off today, raising money for the Rock River Valley Pantry. There were nearly 20 pots to taste test, each collecting money for those in need. They tell us they're hoping to help as many people as they can.
We've done cook-offs in the past, but it's never been quite to this extent. Lots of people really want to help donate for all those people that are really in need over the last year from COVID.
Find this article on our website, mystateline.com, for more information on how you can donate to the Rock River Valley Food Pantry. A national nonprofit that works with low-income children says millions of students have not attended class since the pandemic started or are missing altogether. Washington correspondent Alexandra Limon reports on how the pandemic and school closures have impacted or at-risk students. She's keeping you connected to the nation's capital.
The federal government is struggling to figure out how best to reopen schools.
Doing this, smaller class sizes, ensuring there are more school buses, having the equipment and the testing available. This costs money.
Ray Saldana, president of Communities in Schools, says some of the biggest casualties of the school shutdowns are low-income students.
All across the country, superintendents and principals are talking about students that have just gone missing.
Before the pandemic, issues related to chronic generational poverty already contributed to high dropout rates among these students. Now, Communities in Schools estimates that as many as 3 million at-risk kids haven't participated in classes since March, and many seem to have vanished.
The last thing we know is that there was furniture outside the home, which are the telltale signs of somebody who was evicted last minute.
Communities in Schools says one way to try to find the kids and help them stay in school is to have people dedicated to the task in all Title I schools.
It's not just measuring their temperature at their door, but truly getting to the root cause of some of the suffering that they've had over the last 12 months.
Saldana says the currently proposed COVID relief package would provide some funding to help the most at-risk kids, but says more long-term funding is also needed. Reporting in Washington, Alexandra Limon.
As power returns to many in Texas, millions are still without water. Learn more about how the Lone Star State is handling the devastating weather now.
The temperatures are back in the 20s today and we'll likely see 30s tomorrow for the first time in over 2 weeks. But accumulating snowfall will join those warmer temperatures. Find out how much we'll likely end up with coming up in the forecast. Stay with us.
You're watching Eyewitness News, your home team, with Alexis, Carpello, David Greenberg, and meteorologist Kevin Doom.
Millions in Texas are under boil water advisories, dealing with undrinkable water and broken pipes following 2 winter storms and a record-breaking cold temperatures. Here's Andrew Dimbert with more on the Lone Star State.
President Biden has approved a major disaster declaration for Texas after a pair of winter storms and some of the coldest temperatures in more than a century devastated the Lone Star State. 75-year-old Andy Anderson died of hypothermia outside his home. He went to his truck to retrieve a device to help him breathe after his home lost power.
Went out there, he had no response. He was already cold.
While much of the power has been restored, many are still without clean drinking water.
A lot of vulnerable people, a lot of essential workers, a lot of marginal people. So many of them suffered hardships even more than you might imagine.
Nearly half of Texas is under a boil water advisory.
We have power back now, but we just have literally no water.
Massive water distribution sites are now open.
If we didn't have this, I mean, obviously we'd have to go and try to find other resources, but if not, we'd have to wait until the situation gets resolved.
But supplies are still limited.
But if there's anything the federal government could do right now, it would be to load up some real big planes that fill them with water bottles and send them down here. This has been going on way too long. People are angry and tired tired here.
New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez raising more than $3 million to help Texans.
We need to rally around the state, and we need to make sure that we make short and long-term policy decisions so that this kind of devastation, preventable devastation, never happens again.
Houston's mayor says there's still a long road ahead.
It's all hands on deck until we get through it. Even after people's homes are repaired, lights on, water pressure up, there will be many people who will be dealing with this crisis for weeks and months to come.
Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, Washington.
Coming up later in sports, the 5th-ranked Illini picked up another big win. Could they be a national title team? Plus, the sun shining across the state line today was a hopeful sight for warmer weather. Kevin will let us know what the rest of the week is shaping out to look like next. You're watching Eyewitness News at 6.
Now your first warm weather forecast with meteorologist Kevin Dew.
So far, all has been quiet for our Saturday. Sunshine accompanied by a little bit of haze is what we saw for most of the day. Now we're starting to see a few more clouds push in from the west. Didn't see any snow today, but our next storm system is on its way, currently bringing some snow and some wintry mix to parts of the central and north central plains. Now I know it doesn't look like a whole lot just yet, but as it approaches the Midwest, it's going to collect a lot more snow and a lot more rain before actually making its way into the state line. But for the time being, we are going to remain dry through the rest of the evening and even through the overnight. We will continue to see those clouds build up, though, in anticipation of that storm. Now, this storm will be approaching the state line by early tomorrow afternoon. Now, the timing of the storm system is still not all too certain when exactly this snowfall will be moving into the state line. Anytime between around the noon and 3 o'clock hour. However, that shouldn't really impact snow totals all that much. Now, the widespread stuff will be moving in by the early afternoon or so, and then will remain with us through the rest of the evening. The heaviest of the snowfall moving in around the latter part of the afternoon into the early evening. It's going to last with us through the rest of the evening before we finally dry out for the overnight hours. We'll hang on to most of that cloud cover, and then we should remain dry through our Monday. We're just going to see a good mix of clouds and even a little bit of sunshine in there as well. Now, most of the state line should expect to see around 2 to 3 inches of snowfall. Areas to the west of I-39 and north of I-88, maybe going to see a few spots where we see up to around 4, maybe a little bit more than 4 inches through the end of tomorrow. Now, a winter weather advisory has been issued for areas just to the west of the state line, but nothing issued for any counties in the state line just yet. Let's take a live look over the Rock River in downtown Beloit. Is Mercial Skytrack, where things are pretty quiet right now. We're now out of daylight, just seeing some partly cloudy skies overhead, and temperatures are starting to cool off just a bit too now that the sun has gone down. We're 21 right now in Rockford, 14 in Rochelle, 18 up in Janesville, and 20 right now in DeKalb. Most of the area seeing around partly cloudy conditions. See a little bit more cloud cover though present out to the west. We're also seeing wind chills down in the single digits across much of the area. Feels as though we're at 13 in Rockford, wind chill of 0 right now in Rochelle. Feels as though they're 9 in DeKalb and 5 for a current wind chill for those of you out in Freeport. And of course, we do have a pretty big warm-up coming up for the week ahead. Big reason for that is our jet stream is finally going to push to the north of us after spending so much time down to our south, pulling a lot of very cold air down into the state line and really keeping things cool. But now the opposite effect is going to happen heading into next week, especially the middle of next week. Jet stream, as I mentioned, going to push just to the north of us. That's going to be pulling up a lot of warmer air, parking itself right over into the Midwest. Now, temperatures aren't going to be a whole lot warmer than where they should be for this time of year. In fact, most of the week should actually still stay just below the average for this time of year, but it is definitely going to feel a lot nicer than where we've been these past couple of weeks. Now, tonight, temperatures are going to be in the mid-teens for lows as clouds slowly build up through the night. Also going to see temperatures slowly warming through the night after around midnight, and that should allow us to reach the lower 30s for a high tomorrow to accompany this storm system coming on through, bringing us a couple of inches of snowfall. We do dry out, as I mentioned, from Monday as temperatures remain in the 30s. In fact, 30s expected pretty much every single day this week, even seeing a couple days in the middle of the week approaching 40, but we do see a couple more chances for a little bit of snowfall before week's end.
Now, the Napleton Sports Desk with David Greenberg.
Plenty of hoops to go over on this beautiful Saturday from both college and throughout the state line. Let's start in the Big Ten, where the Fighting Illini were up in Minneapolis. Early in the first, Illini down a bucket, feet inside to Kofi Coburn. Just get out of the way when that man goes up with it. He is a very big man. Illini in transition now, pass up to Iota Sumu, and he hammers it home. He had a big game. I'll get to that in a second. Here he is bringing it up this time. And a monster slam again by Kofi Coburn. At that point, the Illini were just out here having some fun. Ayo lobs it up to Georgi Bejanishvili on the alley-oop. Ayo got himself a triple-double with 19 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists as the Illini blow out the Gophers 94-63. That is a national championship caliber team in my mind. But like I said, plenty of basketball around the state line this afternoon, particularly from the NIC 10 conference. Sitting at the top of the conference at 4-0 are the Jefferson Jayhawks. We start with their game on the road at Guilford. In the first, three-pointer from the corner by Latrell Graham misses, but Quaitez Broomfield is there to scoop it up and score. This time, Rashard Young feeds the bounce pass to Jameer Jefferson, and he gets the three to fall on a friendly roll. And for Guilford, Demarion Price drives with the left, floats it up, and he gets the runner with the roll in the lane. Here's the freshman Malachi Johnson, tries the step back, gets blocked, but there's Price again underneath to lay it in. In the end, Jefferson was able to pull away and pick up another conference victory. The Jayhawks improved to 5-0 in the NIC 10 with a 57-43 win. On to the next, we head to Harlem where the Huskies hosted Belvedere North. There was one man who stole the show in the second half. That was Lathan Lewis. This time, a great pass to DeAndre Young, who sinks the three from the corner. Just a pure stroke. And this time, we've got the reverse. Young feeds Lewis, and he gets the and one to go inside the paint. Blue Thunder got one back here on the three ball from the top of the key. That's Nathan Lenman, but the Lewis-Young combo was just too hot to handle. The Huskies top Belvedere North and pick up the 51-33 win. Also, in NIC 10 boys basketball, East routed Belvedere 82-31, and Auburn got by Freeport 58-56. For NIC 10 girls action, we go to Boylan. The Titans hosted Hononegah. End of the first quarter, Sarah Kalma finds Avery Markham at the top of the arc. She nails it at the buzzer. How sweet is that? Second quarter, sophomore Emma Clark. She'll hit a three for Hononegah. Third quarter, Alicia Bell gets the ball down low and scores. Hononegah extended its lead in the fourth. Haley Warren sinks her three ball, and Clark gets three more on the way to her game-high 16 points. Hononegah runs its record to 7-0 with a convincing win, 49-19. Check out one more game from this afternoon from the Big Northern Conference between two different Indians. We've got Pecatonica and Dakota. Third quarter action, Dakota's Caden Niedermeyer heaves up a three-pointer and cans it. Hunter Hoffman crashes the boards for Pecatonica. He battles for the basket strong down low. Hoffman shows off his shooting touch. He makes a three-pointer. And another for Hoffman. He scored 23 points. Pecatonica beats Dakota 53-32. Peck is 6-0. That's it for sports. We'll be right back.
Thanks for making us your home team tonight. We'll see you at 10.